Want to make a video on how to buy cars for Turo and how to get really good deals. And I have another video of what types of cars are the best for Turo, so make sure to check out that video too. This one is going to be how to get good deals and find those cars using Craigslist. This is going to be if you're looking for cheaper cars and you're using cash to buy them, not for people who are financing or buying like newer, higher end cars. So first you just go to Craigslist.org, and pretty much an expert on this. I was buying and selling cars like full time, a lot of for most like 2019, and then buying and selling cars part time for 2 or 3 years before that. And most of the cars I would make at least $1,000 on. So like I know how to buy a car that it can be sold for $1,000 more than what I pay for it with pretty much minimal work. So first thing you do is click on owner. You don't want to see the dealer cars. And then put in like a price range. You don't want to leave the minimum price at 0 because you'll just be looking at like a lot of junk usually. And then some people will put their price down as 0 or $1, so it comes up here just to try to get more clicks. But the people who do that, they they're never pricing it right. And make sure to put your maximum price about $1,000 over the budget, because a lot of people you can negotiate them down to like 1,000. I've bought multiple cars where I bought the car for $1,000 lower than their listing price. And I would actually recommend buying cars in like the $4,000 to $5,000 range. Well, so we'll keep it at 6 too, because it's $1,000 over 5,000. And then model year, you just do minimum 2008. Odometer max 124,000, because Turo has to be a 2008 or newer right now, because I'm making this in 2020, so it has to be, the requirements right now are 12 years older or newer. So in 2020 it's a 2008 or newer, and 125,000 K or less. So I put 124,000 as the max. And then you want to go down to title status and look at clean. I'll look at lien and missing. Also, I've bought in a lot of cars with missing titles before, but I would not recommend doing that unless you know how the paperwork works and you really know what you're doing. But I know how to do it. But for most people, I would just say just click clean, because you want to make sure you're not getting any salvage titles or rebuilt titles. Turo does not allow that. It'll break their terms of service, and you won't be covered under their policy if you have a salvage title or a rebuilt title, or a car that's had mileage rollback that is like on a Carfax. And then, oh yeah, what I like to do, so I just look for Toyotas and Hondas. So I'll bring up a page here for Toyota, and then what I'll do is I'll bring up a duplicate page right next to it, and then put Honda in this one. And then the reason I'll bring up two different pages instead of just like typing Honda in here is because I like to just pretty much just check this every day and then just hit the refresh button. And what you're doing is you're just browsing through it, like looking for cheaper prices. So like I had a budget of $6,000, but it's like, why would I pay? I was kind of looking for something more towards the $4,000 price. Because the thing is, the first car I bought was a 2012, but I realized like if I had just bought a 2008 with 124K, I could still rent it out for the same price. And then I'll open up a third browser, and this is to compare prices in. So like here's this Yaris right here for $4,000. This isn't like a super good deal, but this would be a great car to buy for Turo, to be honest. Like, looks clean, 101K, 2008. And when you buy a 2008, they'll get like grandfathered in. So this will just stay in the system even when it gets older and the mileage goes up past 125,000. You can leave it in Turo and still rent it out. So that's why it doesn't make sense to buy like a 2012 with 60K on it. Serving belt change, blah, blah, blah. So like this right here, let's look at, I don't think this is super cheap because it's just like the little hatchback one and probably the base model. It's got hubcaps. Some of these do not have like Some of these have manual windows and manual locks too. I wouldn't want to get one with manual locks if you're renting it, because then the people renting it might kind of forget to lock all the doors and stuff. But so let's go into this third tab. 2008 Yaris. See if there's any other 2008 ones. This has got 180K on it though. This has 90K for 5,300. So like, yeah, this price is a lot higher. Those rims look kind of stupid in my opinion. This is the same one. There's not a lot of 2008s. Let's put in 2007. You can also check with like Kelley Blue Book. I think the phone app with Kelley Blue Book is a lot better than online. But just keep in mind, like, so like popular stuff like Priuses and like this Honda Fit that I just bought that I'll show you in a minute. The Blue Book said it was like around what I paid for it, but I know that I got it a lot under value. A lot of popular cars they'll sell for, will be priced on Craigslist a lot higher than Kelley Blue Book lists them. Like Prius is really popular around here, or like Toyota, Toyota Tacomas, Honda Fit, stuff like that. Those sell for quite a bit higher than Kelley Blue Book a lot. Kelley Blue Book is usually pretty accurate, but not always. This one's pretty overpriced. 2007 with 96K for 6,200. But back when I was flipping cars, I got a really good deal on a Yaris. I got like, it was like a 2008 or 2007 or something that had 60K on it, and I bought it for like $3,300. Sold it in like 3 days and made like $1,300 or something. And like I priced it even pretty cheap. So this is probably kind of a normal price for this, but like, I mean, you could, it'd still be pretty good to buy for Turo, but I think it is better to buy, like if you can buy one that's like about $1,000 under value. So like say you could buy this for 3K, for example, and you could sell it for 4K, you could pretty much rent it for like a year, sell it, and then sell it for the same price that you paid for it after about a year pretty much. And you'll probably won't have to deal with barely any maintenance, since it'll only get, if you sell it after a year, it'll only get driven 10 or 15,000 miles. If it has like newer tires and brakes on it when you get it, you really won't have to deal with any maintenance. You probably just do like 1 or 2 oil changes and that'll be it. So you're not gonna, if you just keep buying cars like that over and over again, ones that are about $1,000 under value, selling them after a year, you'll barely have to deal with any maintenance costs. You're getting Toyotas and Hondas, and then you won't be losing any money on depreciation either. So you'll make a lot more money if you buy cars like this. And then basically you just want to check this often. Like you just kind of go through it, glance at the year. And so like here's an 09 Corolla. This is pretty cheap actually. 2009 Corolla LE with 107K on it. The front bumper is all fucked up, it looks like. But you could probably talk them down in price quite a bit. Like I know how to do a bit of body work myself. So like I could get a new bumper and paint it myself for this. 2 owners. Like this is really cheap right here. So like let's put in 09 Corolla. And since I've done this a lot, I can pretty much just see something and know that it's a good deal. When you're first starting, you have to kind of research the prices more. But see, like here's one with about the same mileage. It's exactly the same. A 2009 LE with the same freaking mileage. What mileage did this have? 107. This car here is like exactly the same. It's priced $1,300 more. And here's another 09. This one's priced at $3,900, but it has 180K on it. And then you could check the blue book as well. Like if it's a lot under blue book, it's definitely a good deal. Like if it's something popular like a Toyota Corolla. So like it isn't a great deal because the bumper is messed up. But if you like, you could talk them down in price a lot. Like maybe you could even buy that for like 3,500 or something. You could the bumper replaced at even a good body shop for like $800. Or if you can do it yourself or know somebody who can do it real cheap, you could save a lot of money that way. And then what you're doing is just kind of checking this, going through it. And then if you don't find anything, it's kind of just a numbers game. You just refresh the browser. You just want to refresh the browser at least once a day or twice a day. You know, look through all of them. And if you're looking for something specific like a Prius or a Civic, you can just search that as well. Just refresh the browser once or twice a day. And then what you do is when a good deal comes up, you want to be able to jump on it and look at it right away. That's why you refresh this and look at it every couple of days, because the really good deals, they sell quick like that. So you want to have cash at your house ready so you can, bring cash when you go and look at it so you can buy it right away, because the banks, they always have a limit to the ATM. So if it's like a time when the bank is closed, I like to have the cash ready and on me. Be safe with your cash. You're meeting a stranger. And then you always want to call them first, and then always buy a Carfax first. You're checking for mileage rollback, and then you're looking for like salvage titles. Sometimes it can be a salvage title and you can't know, even like I'm in California. You could have a clean California title. You could be looking at it. There's one car I bought. I looked at it was a Carfax report. I think it was even a cheaper report, but it said that the title had been salvaged in Texas. They rebuilt the title in Texas, and they brought it over to California and got a clean title. That could have been something that like a dealer or somebody flipping it did. It's called washing the title. They'll bring it over to California and get a clean title for it. But on the record, that has had a salvage or a rebuilt title before, so that would break Turo's terms of service. And if you bought that and didn't know, because you didn't get a Carfax first, that car gets in an accident, Turo's not going to cover you with their insurance. You're going to be screwed. The same as if the car has mileage rollback that's reported through a Carfax report. So I was looking at that like every day kind of for a while, and then I saw this Honda Fit right here pop up. 2008 for $4,300, priced with $112K on it. I knew this was a super good deal right when I saw it. Like, pretty much you could buy this and sell. You could probably price it at like $5,500 and sell it for like $5,300. It wouldn't sell as quick, it might take you a couple weeks or a month to sell it, but like you just clean it up a bit, make a better looking ad, which is what I would do. This is totally a car I would buy if I was looking to flip it as well. And I'm pretty sure I could sell this thing for $5,300. So I saw this car. I also saw another Fit. And both of them, they didn't leave a phone number. They just had email. It's better when they leave a phone number, but it was this one right here. Here's a 2010 Fit with $109K for $5,100. This is also a super good deal. I emailed this one and the other guy. This one's been up for, posted 30 days ago. It's definitely sold already. This is why he didn't email me back. But I wanted this one more, since the fact that it's a 2010, it's not going to rent any more money for me. They had the same mileage anyway. This one actually told me it was actually at $107K too when I talked to him on the phone. But this guy ended up calling me back the same day. He said his phone was getting a ton of responses for it. Like his email was getting blown up, which I believe him. I know it was a really good deal. I'm sure it was. And these Fits are really popular. The cheap ones sell like that. So I called him right up. He told me a guy was looking at it the next day. And then I said, can I come and look at it right now before him, And I think it was about an hour and 20-minute drive for me. I'm located near San Francisco. I bet if he was located a lot closer to San Francisco, it probably would have even sold like before I could have went and looked at it. It was about an hour and 20-minute drive to go up there. I talked to him on the phone first. You always want to talk to the person on the phone before you look at the car. And then sometimes they'll cover up the license plate. They won't give you a VIN. Ask them for the VIN number, the license plate, so you can run a Carfax. If they won't give it to you, don't bother to go look at it. It's not worth it. You always want to get a Carfax first. And I'll show you what the car looks like in a minute. And then I would also recommend, I'm going to make another video about how to do like a thorough inspection yourself on a car, like a pre-purchase inspection. If you follow my video, pretty much anybody can do it, but I would recommend paying a mechanic to do an inspection on it first if you don't really know about cars. And even like I know how to inspect one really thoroughly, but I'm still not doing like a compression test on the car, which I guess if you know how to do it, you could even go there and do it in person. But just keep in mind, if you're not getting a compression test done, you are running a bit of a risk when you're buying it. It's pretty unlikely that, like, you know, a car, a Honda Toyota with low mileage like this is gonna have bad compression in one of the cylinders. But all it takes is somebody driving it really, like, forgetting to put oil in and driving it really low on oil, and that can mess up the engine like that. So I would recommend getting a mechanic to inspect it first for you, especially if you don't know a lot about cars. You know, you don't want to buy something and then end up losing a lot of money on repairs just because you were, you know, didn't take the time or too cheap to pay $150 to get it inspected first. It's well worth it. Do that and buy the Carfax. So yeah, this is the Honda Fit that I got right here. Just gonna go over like the little flaws that it has, stuff that I need to fix. The bumper is kind of sagging a little bit right there, and kind of get under there and maybe pop a little screw in or a zip tie, or I could just leave it. It's really not a big deal. I'm gonna buff out this headlight. Get this. It's probably just bird shit right there. I don't know. It could be paint. I'm gonna buff that one out so it's clear. And the one over here is pretty much already clear. I can buff that out a little bit. What we can do is sand it down with a 1500 grit sandpaper, and then you can use a buffer and just machine buff it with compound. They come out clear. And what else? Let's see. I'm gonna replace the little fog light there. I found a couple of these, like the whole assembly, so it comes with the square part here. It's unpainted, it's black, but I'm going to look for one that's the same assembly and try to take that one out and just put the light in. And it was like $50 for both of them actually on eBay for the aftermarket ones. Let's see what else. The interior seats are kind of stained, so I need to shampoo them. Like that one there is pretty stained. And the windows, you can't tell right now, the windows are like really tinted. So I don't know if that's like within legal tint, it just looks black. But at the very least, I want to remove the tint from the back window just because I see it as a bit of a safety hazard. It makes it hard to see out in the rearview mirror, especially at night. Personally, I just don't like it, so I want to remove that. All the tires on it are almost new. I think the brakes are good. I'm going to inspect the brakes, make sure they're in spec. Turo requires a 25% or more on your brakes. And I have it up on these things right here because I just want to take a look underneath it just to make sure there's no like ripped boots or anything like that. But you know, as you can see, like overall it looks pretty clean. It just kind of needs a good detail. A couple small parts. So the other thing it needs is this thing right here. Just this little plastic piece right there, like the one on the other side right there. I just need to get that because it looks really bad right now, but I think at the dealer I was calling them up. I don't know if it was the right part, but it sounded like it was just like a $50 part. And then another thing, I only have one key for it. And I don't know, I need to find out, but keep in mind that spare keys can be really expensive with like newer cars because mostly the keys have a chip in it. So you can't just like get the key copied at like a key place or get a cheap one on eBay. You need to get the actual chip for the car and then get somebody to program it. So that can be pretty expensive. The dealer is really expensive, but there's some locksmiths can do it and they'll be cheaper than the dealer, so you don't have to go to the dealer for that. But as you can see, pretty sweet car right here. Check out my video on like why I buy this type of car, and like I think it's called like what types of cars are the best to get for a Turo. Make sure to check one out. Make sure to check that one out too. So here's the finished product of the car when I'm done with it. Looks pretty nice now, I think. And I ended up replacing all the fluids on it, and I just want to go over all the cost of the stuff that I bought for the car. So I spent $50 to replace that broken fog light, $40 on that little trim piece that was missing on the floor, $10 on brake fluid, $55 on coolant and automatic transmission fluid, $130 to get that key replaced. It was $120 plus tax. And I went to the locksmith and I got this one was $30 cheaper. I got one with no fob key buttons on it. Don't go to the dealer to get keys replaced. The Honda probably would have charged me $350 or something. They charge $150 just for the part, and then they charge you for the programming. I'm sure a lot of money. And I spent $32 on an air filter and a cabin filter. The air filter was kind of messed up when I looked at it. That's something good to look at before you buy it. Should have done that, but you know, it's a cheap part. Anybody can replace an air filter. It's super easy. And then ended up 3 of the studs, they're the bolt things that hold the wheels on and the lug nut goes onto. 3 of them broke off when I was trying to loosen up the lugs to get the front wheels off. So I ended up spending $50 on parts to buy 3 new studs and then 3 new lug nuts. Probably could have gotten those cheaper if I had shopped around aftermarket or used, but I just bought them at the dealer because it was quicker. That was just kind of bad luck. They probably broke because, you know, maybe the tire shop that put on the tires or whatever over tightened them with an impact driver instead of using a torque wrench. Kind of could have happened on any car, really. And then the final price with all that stuff added up was $4,670. So, you know, I just wanted to throw that out there because a lot of times something that looks like a really good deal, it maybe isn't quite as good of a deal as you first imagined. But now that I'm done with all that, I mean, it has brand new brake fluid, transmission fluid, the coolant is flush. It's not going to need any maintenance for a long time. You know, brand new air filter. The car's like perfect now. But you know, I did the work myself on that too. If I were to get that work done at shops, like getting the fluid change, it would have cost quite a bit more. And you know, maybe by the time you'd end up paying for all that, you would have just spent the same amount and bought a more expensive car that really didn't need the maintenance. It's just good to research that stuff, you know, transmission fluid, coolant change, brake fluid change, that stuff that can tend to be overlooked when a car isn't being maintained at the dealer or it's had multiple owners. Also, I probably could have bought a car for that same price if I was just patient and waited more, turned that one down that didn't need as much maintenance and stuff. But keep in mind, it doesn't really make sense since, you know, this car is maybe going to make me $400 to $500 a month. It doesn't make sense to spend an extra month searching for a better deal to save $500 on that deal when I can just buy that one, stop looking for cars, and then just make the $500 that month anyway.